We are here at IMI Joburg and I'm chatting with Mr. Sean Powell here today, and he'll be answering some questions we had about the Aprilia RS 660 we reviewed recently. Sean, thank you so much for your time today. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
So I think let's just jump straight into it. In terms of accessories to trick out the RS 660 and make it your own, what do you guys have on offer?
So Josh, you could do quite a lot to the bike currently. There's a bit more coming out as obviously the bike gets more and more popular all around the world. But you can get a double bubble screen. You can get some very nice, cool mirrors. What's quite nice is with the mirrors not having the indicator built into it, but it's built into the headlight, you can get really cool, funky designs on the mirrors. You also get the rear seat cowl, which is very nice. It gives it the RSV4 factory sort of look. Very, very nice touch there. And also an acrobatic full system. So you can get quite a bit for the bike as it stands at the moment.
And all of that is available from you guys. Just get in touch, sort you out in terms of that. Question number 2 was under the passenger seat, we noticed that there were little tie-down points that looked like you could mount luggage to that. Is that a practical thing? Were we reading too much into that? Is there OEM options available from Aprilia? What's the deal there?
I think a little bit reading a bit much into it. It's probably more of a design thing, but when you look at what Aprilia's idea was with the RS 660, it's a versatile motorcycle. It's a really good looking motorcycle, gives it that sporty look, that aggressive Italian sleek design. But the idea was that it can be a versatile everyday sort of bike. So you probably would find that if you had to get the right sort of bungee cords and stuff like that, you could actually mount a little backpack or something there and use a little bit more versatile. But that's up to you at the end of the day.
I still think that's a very good idea because the kind of bike that it is, it lends itself well to it. So I mean, whether it was accidental or whether they actually did that on purpose, I think it's cool that it's there. The other question that I have is in terms of tires. Now, the Rosso courses that are on it are fantastic tires, but if you are going to be using it like every day, you know, they are going to get chowed. What alternatives would you recommend for this motorcycle?
So to be honest, they've got Rosso 2s on. What you got to understand about the Rosso 2, that is actually all performance, all weather tire. It's not a cut slick, it's not a SE2, it's not a Super Corsa, it's a Rosso 2. So that's pretty much all sort of weather sort of riding. So I found them in the wet to actually be really good. I find OEM fitment on these tires really good option, to be honest. Right now, we kind of estimate around about 8 to 10,000 Ks on a set, depending on how you ride it, if you are doing a few track days or not. But essentially, it's just depending on how often you ride and where you ride. They could last you quite some time, man.
And then the next question is in terms of servicing costs and intervals, because I think people still have that negative connotation about Italian bikes and servicing and all that. Would you like to put that to bed?
Yeah, so first service will be on 1,500 Ks run in service. There, you're kind of looking around about 2.5 grand for a service. It's obviously just due to the level of oil we use, etc. But around 2.5 grand. And then it's every 10,000 Ks. On 10,000 Ks, we'll do a valve clearance check. And then on 20,000 Ks, we'll do valve clearance service. Pretty much within market-related prices, to be honest. So they're not over the top exuberant. There's no huge cost coming up in the very near future of the bike. So by the time you reach 20,000 Ks on this bike, it is a good and proper second-hand motorbike.
And then my final question is, could you please explain to me what makes the electronics on this motorcycle so special?
Well, Josh, that's actually a very interesting question. So what a lot of people don't understand, and it's a little bit of just education, is that the RS 660 runs the exact same electronics package that the RSV4 factories do, just minus the semi-active electronic suspension. But second to that, it's got everything else. It's got the quick shifter, it's got the engine mapping, it's got the engine braking, it's got traction control, wheelie control, ABS. It's got everything else that the bigger brother's got, which you pay R500,000 Rand for. So there is no real shortcut when it came to the electronics on the RS 660. And you guys touched on it in your video as well. It's the design kind of came from the 660 first and then moved up to the big brother being the 1100, which is really cool. It just shows that Aprilia has shown a big attention to this middleweight 660 market, and yeah, we strongly believe that it's a market leader in that segment.
Well, not only for Aprilia, but I think other brands can really look towards it and say, you know what, instead of having all our top tier tech on the flagship bikes, start bringing it down to the more accessible bikes and more people will be interested in it.
Correct, and it makes the bike so much more fun to ride, so much more enjoyable, especially if you're spoiled with all that tech at the high end. When you jump on a nippy little motorbike like this, it feels like home. It's not full of surprises and doesn't get you into trouble, and it's just generally a great motorcycle to ride.
Just on that sort of vein, the motorcycle that we had on review, is that the only spec that's available in the country? Like that's a set package, or are there different variants?
So there's only a set package on that at the moment. So the RS660, there's no derivative of the RS660, in other words. So you just get the RS660. You obviously get the Tuono 660 and the Touareg 660. That's all coming. Tuono's now just landed. So that's in the range, but the RS660, there's no derivative. So there's no factory version of the RS yet. There will be a limited edition coming out though this year. Called the Stars and Stripes, which is to kind of commemorate their Moto America Twin Cup victory, where they won the championship first year out. So there is a limited edition being made, 1,500 units in the world.
And they are coming here?
Yes.
Oh, this is fantastic. It's really cool to hear.
And that will be a little bit more tricked out. It has a few different trick parts to it that the base model doesn't have, but that will be a limited. It's not essentially a factory as such, but more just a limited edition.
And more details on that as they come up. Fantastic stuff. Sean, thank you so much for your time today. We really appreciate you taking time out of your busy day to answer our questions. And if you guys want to get in touch with them to check out their bikes, demo them, pop in for a coffee, whatever it is, I highly recommend you do so. And if you guys liked what you saw here, please do subscribe to the tribe for more, and we'll catch you guys in the next video. Thank you so much for watching.